Good evening, PWCS families, and welcome to the Family Engagement Series. My name is Hannette Boyd, Supervisor for Family and Community Engagement. I also want to say thank you for joining us as we kick off celebrating National Family Engagement Month. And tonight's session, Support Learning at Home, What's New in Math and Literacy. Today's presentation will be offered in the requested languages of English and Spanish and will be recorded. If you're on your computer, you're going to look for the interpretation button on your control bar. Once you click on it, pick your desired language. Then your icon should change. If you're on your phone, you're going to click on the Join Audio and click Call over Internet. Click on the three dots and more. Click on Language Interpretation and click on the language you want and done. At this time, the Spanish interpreter will review the slide.
Para español en su computadora, busque el globo en la parte inferior, haga clic para activar y escoja español. El icono cambia a ES, que es español, y haga clic para listo. En su teléfono, haga clic para unirse al audio a través del internet. Haga clic en los tres puntitos, haga clic en interpretación, escoja español y haga clic para listo. Gracias.
Thank you. Interpretation will now begin. This time, I would like to welcome our presenters. Joining us this evening, we have Ms. Marissa Miranda. She is the Supervisor of Elementary English Language Arts and Literacy. Ms. Carla Drew, Supervisor of Secondary English Language Arts and Literacy. Dr. Justin Maffei, he is the Supervisor of Secondary Math. And Dr. Christopher Latham, Supervisor of Elementary Math. Welcome.
All right, good evening, everyone. As Yannette said, I'm Marissa Miranda. I'm the Supervisor for Elementary Language Arts and Literacy. With my joint partner here, Carla Drew, we're going to walk you through some things in literacy, and then our math friends will take over after. So we're going to start with just some common things that we have in common, changes that have occurred in the past 2 years for both of us. So both ELA and math have new Virginia state standards. And with those standards, we've had a change in instructional practices, which both of us will go through tonight. So you have a little window into what is being done inside the classrooms. We also have fully implemented for both contents, both of those standards last year. Last year, we also had the initiation of the Virginia Literacy Act for Literacy, which I will go into detail with in our presentation as well. State-approved resources, which both of us will speak to, and that's really the resources that you're seeing your children use. For ELA, those were adopted last year, and we'll go into detail about what those are. And then for math, they'll go into the new resources that started this year. So I'm going to first ground everybody's understanding of what the Virginia Literacy Act is. You might have heard this at family literacy nights or just from the schools last year. We had a couple presentations and some communication that went out about exactly what the Virginia Literacy Act is. So Virginia Literacy Act is a law aimed at improving reading skills for students in K-8. Last year, we really focused in on K-3, and this year we included 4-8 in the conversation. What changes happened with that? This does require schools to screen K-8 students for reading difficulties, and it mandates evidence-based reading instruction and intervention. We're going to be providing additional support for our struggling readers, and really what we're looking at is identifying students early for what might be a future reading difficulty. So that slide didn't work as well as I wanted it to. That's okay. So VLA through the grade levels. So right now for K-8 through K-3 through 4-8, we are looking again at that evidence-based curriculum. So what the law requires, and the law was passed in 22, enacted last year. What the law requires is that we have to have curriculum that is state approved, but is also evidence-based. So there's a panel of people at the state level that are reviewing the curriculum that we have. We have to have evidence-based instruction. Our teachers need to be trained in this type of instruction, and that is ongoing for any new teachers who come in. And then we also have a new literacy screener. Many of you might have heard about this. Prior to last year, it was called PALS. Now it is called VALS, not to be confused with vowels like A, E, I, O, and U. but it is VALLS, VALLSS, as you can see on your screen here. So last year we started the new screener in SY 24-25, and that was just done for K3. We were looking at students a little bit deeper into what some of the reading difficulties might be. And this year we started screening our 4 through 8 students. This is only done for students who would not have passed the reading SOL the year before, and for any other students who were new to Virginia or who may have passed with a read aloud or audio accommodation. Basically what we're doing is looking, you didn't pass this assessment, why? Digging a little bit deeper. So ongoing teacher training, not only with the screener and how to deal with those reading difficulties, but just how to deliver that evidence-based instruction is really the goal of this initiative as well. So the Virginia Literacy Act is really grounded in science, and we've heard a lot about the science of reading in the past few years. So I just want to make sure that we're all understanding really what that is. So what the science of reading is a research-based approach to understanding how children learn to read and what teaching methods work best. So these are the 5 key areas that will run through our instruction. So we want to be able to have students recognize speech sounds and phonemic awareness. They want to connect those sounds to letters in our phonics instruction. Fluency, we want to make sure that they're reading smoothly and easily, not having that robotic, choppy reading. Vocabulary, we want to make sure that we're then connecting those words to meaning so that that's really what students are understanding. And then finally, developing skilled readers. They're comprehending and making sense of what they know, or of what they're reading. What we know is you're not born to read, right? We're born to talk. We're not born to read. So what we need to do is there is a science to that. It's very systematic, it's very explicit, and we need to make sure that we're instructing based on that. So all of that body of research really founded what we are doing in the Virginia Literacy Act. So many of you who have students in K through 3 have already seen the benefits of that, and our data is showing quite a bit of improvement with this instruction. So nobody's going to be put on the spot for this, but just so that you can see, looking at this first sentence here, you can see that this is probably a sentence that most second graders would be able to decode. And when I use the word decode, they're going to be able to put those sounds together and read those words. So the sentence, slowly the yak chews its cud. Most of them will be able to tell you what that sentence means, but not, will be able to read the words in that sentence, word call, if you will, but they're not going to be able to know the meaning behind that. Again, a second grader is probably not going to understand what a yak is. They maybe have different meanings for that word. They're just not going to understand what that is. But again, phonetically, they are going to be able to decode that word. Choose its cud, they're going to understand the word choose. They're going to maybe think that cud is something that it's eating or putting in its mouth. They need to understand the adverbs and sentence structure in this. This is a more complicated sentence than we really give it credit for. It's starting with that adverb. It's telling you, slowly, the yak chews its cud. So there's really a lot more detail that goes into this, which is really how all of this comes together. You're decoding those words, but you really need to attach meaning, be exposed to different syntax and different ways that sentences are put together. So again, your child might be able to word call all of these things, but we need to teach them where that meaning goes into play. So another thing you might be hearing quite often is HQIM. So in education, we love to have some acronyms. HQIM stands for High Quality Instructional Materials. So as part of the VLA and the law, the state of Virginia has approved what can be used for core curriculum, supplemental curriculum, and what can be used for intervention for students needing targeted support. So on the screen here, you can see our core resource for K through 8 is HMH, which many of you have heard. We have Into Reading and Into Literature. For 9 through 12, we have Savas, My Perspectives, and Ms. Drew will talk a little bit more about that. And then for our core resource for our phonics instruction, you have UFly. UFly actually does stand for something as well. Again, we like those acronyms. Many of your students have talked about UFly. You've seen this. You've seen parent things come home. This is a lot of information, and you can look that up. There's a lot of resources online, and we'll show you where to get those as well. For our supplementary resources, this is additional resources, not the core curriculum that they're being taught, but additional resources that are approved for students to work on comprehension and different skills that they may have. We have Newsella, in grades 3 through 8. Supplementary resource for K-5 Lexia Core 5, which many of you are aware of and you've seen your children use. And then we also have Lexia at the 6-8 level, and that's called Power Up. So really what you're looking for is, what does this look like daily in the classroom for elementary students? So we're working on that decoding and meeting. Teachers are teaching foundational skills and language comprehension all during their literacy block. They have a protected time that they teach foundational skills, 30 minutes for U-Fly instruction in our K2 classrooms. In our 3-5 classrooms, it's a little bit shorter, about 10 minutes a day on foundational skills that's linked to their HMH curriculum. We're also really looking at text complexity. Teachers need to use those high quality instructional materials, HMH, books, articles from Newsella, Lexia, but we need to look at that grade level band. We're not going low for them, we're putting them in grade level, that text complexity. They want to build knowledge. We have stories and modules that build on knowledge. They're really giving more background knowledge. Some of the stories you may see, and you get the My Book in the summer that comes home for you, and you're probably looking through, might not make sense how they're all linked, but they're all linked around a common module question that is building background knowledge. And then finally, we're teaching children how to provide text evidence. When you answer a question, many of you may read with your children at home and ask them, what do you think is going on in this story? And how do you know? That text evidence is that more complex thinking that we want them to be able to do. Give me an important fact, tell me why. Show me where that is. That's an essential skill to really deeply comprehending. Carla?
Thank you. So I want to kind of go back a little bit to the fact that we are testing students 6 through 8 using a literacy screener such as VALS. And this is really the first time we've had specific intervention provided at the secondary level for our general education students and our EL students and our special education students who don't have reading goals to receive intervention to close the gaps in their reading levels. And that's something that we've needed for a long time. And we've made some moves this year, made sure that the teachers have very deep training in how to close those gaps. So now we're looking at the shifts in our instructional strategies. And at the secondary level, this is what it looks like. Students spend most of the class time reading, listening to, writing about, and/or speaking about what they read. Students engage in grade level questions associated with what they read. Students provide evidence from their reading to support answers and responses, both orally and in writing, and students build on or respectfully question each other's responses in writing and in academic conversations. And teachers support students by asking guiding questions and allowing students to do the complex thinking. Now, I'm sure you can see the trend in this is that the first 4 elements of the secondary classroom start with students. Students are reading, they're thinking, they're talking, they're writing. They are the ones doing the primary thinking. And the teachers are there to push them, to guide them towards better reading comprehension and make sure that they are digging deep into the text. And this goes from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade. Now here we have the Prince William County website, and there are 2 facets to the Prince William County website that are of interest to parents when it comes to literacy. The first one here is a description of how Prince William County Schools is meeting the requirements of the Virginia Literacy Act. And you can go in and you can see our division literacy plan and all of the elements that we have built in for multiple stakeholders across the division. And right here, you can see that we have an ELA and literacy page. And this is where you can find the curriculum and our Virginia Literacy Act page, as well as linked parent resources for building literacy at home and other things that might interest you about the ELA classroom. In the last 2 years, Prince William County Schools has brought about, we've purchased Khan Academy for high school, and this year all Prince William County students in grades 9 through 12 have access to Khan Academy through the Prince William County Schools portal. It is highly recommended that all students use it to prepare for standardized tests such as the PSAT and the SAT. It is aligned with the College Board standards, which are featured on the SAT, and it offers targeted practice to help students build confidence and improve performance. It's also specialized to the students, and it changes the level of the questioning to meet the students' needs. And we have prep courses for SAT math as well as SAT reading and writing so that students can build those skills before they take those high stakes tests. Getting started there is easy. Students just go to the Prince William County portal. They log in using their Prince William County username and password without the part after the @ symbol. And then they click the Khan Academy icon to launch the app and begin exploring the resources there. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Justin Maffei.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started on some mathematics information here. As was already brought up by Ms. Miranda, we've had some changes in mathematics, specifically the standards changed last year, the standards of learning. So some of the changes that occurred with that, the 2023 mathematics standards of learning goes with a balanced approach. So it's not just that students memorize steps, they learn why the math works. So we have that conceptual understanding. They're able to build that understanding of why the math works, and then build on to how to actually do the math, that procedural knowledge, and then when to use it in real life. So that balanced approach is really important. We definitely want to be at the point where students are able to have that automaticity, recalling of basic facts, but it's also important that they have that conceptual understanding, the reason why it all works, and that really is what helps them to be able to determine when to use it in real life. Now, what this looks like in classrooms, these are the 5 mathematical process goals from the Virginia Department of Education. And this speaks to what students should be experiencing in order to access the mathematics. So we really want to have that mathematical reasoning. Students are thinking critically, they're justifying their steps, they're explaining why their solutions work. We have that communication piece, so they should be talking with one another, talking with the teacher. They can do their explanations in writing, they can do it in discussion, they can have representations, but we really need to be at that problem solving piece of it. Students are persevering, they're reflecting on what works. We talk about rough draft math. They try something, it works or it doesn't, they refine it, they come back the next time and do a little bit better. But also seeing those connections. What are the links between the math topics and math in the other subject areas, math in real life? How is it becoming relevant for the student? And then we have representation. So what are the visuals, symbols, and models that can help students to make their ideas, their thinking clear as they're discussing, as they're explaining their solution strategies, or just to help themselves to understand it at a deeper level.
All right, so just like you heard about with literacy, you will hear the same conversation with mathematics this year. We have high quality instructional materials that are rolling out in Prince William County. So our core resource for kindergarten through 8th grade, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 is the Envision Math series. Along with this, for K through 8 and Algebra 1, there is an assessment called Momentum, which you probably have heard of. You should have gotten our parent report. Your student took the beginning of the year Momentum assessment. That will give you some information about how they're performing currently in math. And as they take it in the middle of the year and the end of the year, it will give us also some growth information on their skills. The parent report tells you what skills they need to work on, and what things you might want to talk to their teacher about them getting support with in the classroom. And then we also have some additional supplemental programs. So Magma Math, there are some supplemental lessons in the plans for teachers. And this is a really great interactive tool where the students can work online, the teachers can see in real time what they're doing, they can group them together, they can give them feedback immediately. And it's already planned into the units that we have. And just like building fact fluency. So this helps students build their number sense and their understanding of those very basic facts, which are necessary building blocks for problem solving. This is also already built into the unit that the teacher will see. They have slides and routines in there, and also games that the students can play as they practice. And then for students that need intervention, we have what's called Bridges intervention. So this is for students who will need additional help, right? Building their math skills. They may not be on grade level, and they need some additional instruction to help build their skills up so that they can close that gap and get on grade level. You might hear their teacher talking about Bridges intervention for them for math. Okay. And so what we want to do now, one of the questions we have been getting a lot is, we have all these new resources. How will we help kids at home, right? How will we help support them? What can we do at home to work with them? What resources do we have? So we're going to show you what those look like right now. We're actually going to click into them from our website. These are available on our public website. So you'd go to the Prince William County math program website here. You go to the math curriculum along the left-hand side. For elementary, you choose elementary school, and then the grade level that you're looking for your student. If you have a student in kindergarten and you choose the kindergarten drop down, you will see quarter one, you'll see the units, you'll see what they're working on described there. You will see the standards that are covered, right? Alignment to the Virginia State math standards for each topic in the unit for every quarter, okay? And then up at the top, there is actually a link directly to the Envision website. So the company that makes the high quality instructional materials, there's a link directly to their website. And you will be able to see topic and lesson support for all of those things listed for your kindergartner. So whatever you're seeing that they have a need for, if it's numbers 0 to 5, if it's comparing numbers and talking about which one's greater and which one's less, there will be, if it's counting collections of things, collections of objects of things that you have in your house, you can click directly on those and you can get some language to use. It has great vocabulary. It has really good visuals, which will match the workbook that the students are working in. And it will give you what those lessons look like, what they might be learning, and then some activities you can do at home that don't require a lot of materials, like some of the lessons in school do, some of the specialized materials. So this is a great spot, especially if you have more than one child. So you have a kindergartner and a third grader and a fifth grader, and you want to help them all with math at home. This is your one-stop shop to be able to go in and see what they're learning in each unit, and what activities they can be doing at home to reinforce what they're learning in the classroom.
All right. At the secondary level, we have some similar options for work at home. Now, if I go to, rather than elementary school, I'm going to go to middle school. And I'll do math grade 7. So very similar setup here. You can see the family resources link at the top of the page. The way that the units and topics are titled align with the SAVAS topics. So topic 1, use rational numbers to solve problems. You'll see the same thing within the SAVAS Envision webpage. So if I go here, we get an overview of resources. We can see the Virginia Standards of Learning. Again, we see the topic or lesson support, and you can see this topic 1, use rational numbers to solve problems, aligned exactly with what we had for unit 1 or topic 1 within Prince William County Schools. And if I go to the topic, it will give me an explanation of what the topic is, what students are actually doing within that topic, and then give us some opportunities to make connections within the math. So with fractions and decimals, what are some of those daily activities that we can talk about where we're utilizing fractions or decimals? We talk about recipes, nutritional information, using wrenches or screws. So we're really trying to build that relevance for students so that they can see that math is all around us all the time. And then when you get down to the individual lesson level, we get the objectives for the lesson, what they're really supposed to be learning for that lesson. And then we also have short video tutorials that you can watch with your kids to gain some understanding of what is a rational number and how do you order fractions and decimals from greatest to least. You get the key vocabulary that's appropriate for the students to work through. And then there's also, they provide some recommended search terms or phrases if your student is having trouble in that area for you to be able to search online for some additional support. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So we also just wanted to share our contact information. So we have Ms. Miranda as the supervisor of elementary language arts and literacy, Ms. Drew, who is the supervisor of secondary language arts and literacy, Chris Latham, who's the supervisor of elementary math, and myself, Justin Maffei, the supervisor of secondary math. Please feel free to reach out if we can support you in any way.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight to present to the families. And to you families, this session was, again, it was recorded. And so I'll make sure that you receive a copy of this recording. You will also get a copy of tonight's PowerPoint presentation, and I'll make sure to include the websites and the links to the information that was reviewed with you. You did submit questions in advance, and I think for the most part, most of the questions were answered. Were there any questions, Ms. Miranda, that you saw that,
No, I didn't see any. The only, I know that in the chat, we did put in the websites. And again, I would say that that is going to be your best. We're updating that as soon as we get information from the state for both of our content areas. That's where we put that. In addition, any parent letters that come home from VALS testing, if your students were VALS tested in 4-8, but obviously every student that was VAL tested in K3, you get all of those resources linked there as well. So I think those web pages will be the best area, but no, I did not get any questions that came directly to me in the chat or anything like that. But the other ones, we did our best to answer the ones that were directly related to ELA and math. But if you have anything follow up, that's why we really wanted to provide our contact information.
and so we will be putting the survey for today's session in the chat. Just let us know how we did and then what type of information or sessions you want to see in the future. And so again, I will be providing the PowerPoint presentation, the recording, along with contact information for everyone. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening, and I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. Thank you.